afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to IIBF's 38th Sir Purshotamdas Thakurdas Memorial Lecture. We are here with around 500 participants who are registered for the event, and this lecture is also being live streamed on our institute's Facebook page. A vibrant banking system is the backbone for a healthy economy. One can correctly ascertain economic health of a nation by judging soundness of its banking sector. IIBF is playing a pivotal role in developing professionally qualified and competent banking and finance professionals for banking sector of the country. As part of its continuing professional development efforts, the Institute has been organizing an annual lecture in the memory of late Shri Purshotamdas Thakurdas since 1981. Today, we are honored to welcome respected Shri Injeti Srinivas, Chairperson IFSCA, to deliver 38th Sir Purshotamdas Thakurdas Memorial Lecture. I also welcome Shri A.K. Goel, MD and CEO, Punjab National Bank and Vice President of IIBF, and respected Shri B. Ramesh Babu, MD and CEO, Karur Vysya Bank, Shri Ajay Kumar, Executive Director, Reserve Bank of India, Shri Sunil Mehta, Chief Executive, Indian Banks Association, and Shri Harideesh Kumar, IBPS Director. I thank everyone for taking out their valuable time for gracing this event. I now request Shri Vysya Das, Chief Executive Officers IIBF, to give his welcome address.
Thank you, Kritika. A warm welcome to Shri Injeti Srinivas from IIBF, all the members of IIBF. IIBF now boasts of around 9 lakhs members, and those who have joined today, around 500 participants, for accepting our offer and choosing a topic of relevance. The latest India Development Update by World Bank, Spring 23, says that Indian economy continues to show resilience amid global uncertainties. The update also notes that although significant challenges remain in the global environment, India was one of the fastest growing economies in the world. So based on this, the topic chosen today by you is of much relevance to the banking sector at large. And today we have with us Shri Kumar Goel sir, the MD and CEO of Punjab National Bank, and he is also the Vice President of IIBF and Chairman of our Executive Council, who has guided the IIBF in various activities, including this lecture. Sir, welcome to this event, flagship event, and thank you for sparing your time, sir. I also welcome Shri Ajay Kumar, ED, RBI, who is also in our governing board. And in all academic activities, he actively participates and guides. We have Mr. Ramesh Babu, who is the MD and CEO of Karur Vysya Bank, an active banker in all aspects, and he has changed the face of a South Indian bank to make it a modern bank. We have also here to be joined by Mr. Harideesh Kumar B, the Director IBPS. Mr. Sunil Mehta is also expected to join, the Chief Executive IBA, and Mr. Dinesh Kumar Khara also will join in another 15 minutes, the Chairman of State Bank of India. So, sir, I welcome all the honorable guests to this flagship event, 38th Sir Purshotamdas Thakurdas Memorial Lecture here. I wish all the best to all the participants who have joined through the link, as well as who are associated with us in the live streaming to this event. Over to you, Kritika. And I request, sir, Shri Kumar Goel, MD, CEO of Punjab National Bank, and our Vice President to deliver his inaugural address.
Thank you, Das Babu. Good afternoon to everybody. It's really my pleasure. I feel honored to welcome all the participants in this 38th Purshotamdas Thakurdas Memorial Lecture. Today, we are really extremely delighted to have amongst us Shri Injeti Srinivas, Chairperson of the International Financial Service Center Authority, that is IFSCA. This annual event, that is Sir Purshotamdas Thakurdas Memorial Lecture organized by the IIBF, has become one of the most important and much awaited event in the banking calendar. Sir PT, as Sir Purshotamdas Thakurdas was fondly called, was one of the founding member of our institute. This is the IIBF, and has organized the memorial lecture since 1981 by this institute as a tribute to the contribution of Shri PT to in uplifting the Indian industrial sector in general and banking is the particular. Sir PT was one of the most distinguished industrialists and has left his imprint in developing the banking and the finance industry in India during the post-independence period. He was one of the founding member of the Federation of the Indian Chamber of the Commerce and Industry. Sir PT was closely associated with the Indian banking industry and has served as a member on the board of the directors of the Imperial Bank of India as well as the Central Bank of the Reserve Bank of India since its inception from 1935. Besides, he was a member of the Governing Council of the Indian Institute of Bankers. This platform has hosted several distinguished speakers who have delivered lectures in the past on the various type of the importance. And today, again, we all gather to listen one of the eminent panelists, Shri Injeti Srinivas, Chairperson of the International Financial Services Center Authority, that is IFSCA. And I think I need not to introduce Shri Srinivasan sir. He was the ex-secretary of the MCA and very renowned personality. And after his joining as a chairperson of the IFSCA, lot of development has happened in the this particular IFSCA authorities. We are privileged that he has accepted our invitation, sir, to deliver the Sir Purshotamdas Thakurdas Memorial Lecture. Shri Injeti Srinivas will be speaking on the very relevant and important topic, role of the IFSC in India's globalization. The growth of international trade has resulted in the development of the International Financial Services Center. IFSCs are expected to have a heavy concentration of financial services entities and the large value of international financial transactions. The setting up of a IFSCA as a unified regulator was a major step towards the building a world-class institutional infrastructure for developing IFSC in India. Some major initiatives taken by the IFSCA in the recent year of its functioning indicate that the requirement as envisaged in the Percy Ministry Committee report have been largely met by the enclave-based approach of the IFSCs. I, on behalf of the IIBF, sir, and banking community, thank Mr. Srinivas for accepting our invitation for delivering this prestigious lecture, and I look forward to hearing the views of Shri Injeti Srinivas, and I am sure all of us present here are keenly waiting to hear his views on role of IFSC in India globalization. I am sure that we all will have many learning points from today's lecture. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir, for inviting our invitation also.
Honorable Injeti Srinivas ji, I know him for a pretty long time, and we have got the opportunity of getting his support during the biggest crisis in PNB and Goel. He was very supportive, and under his charismatic leadership, the IBC was launched, and I think the IBC was the most important legislative reform which the industry has witnessed, which has brought the discipline in financial sector, especially into the corporate sector. So Injeti Srinivas is not only known as a bureaucrat, he is known as a reformer in the entire company law, and the way he is driving this, and every day new announcements are coming for strengthening the IFSC, indicates his rich experience and entrepreneurial capabilities of establishing the new ideas. So I think that's a great opportunity that for this lecture, he has come, and on behalf of IIBF, I also welcome him for this. And definitely it's a matter of great privilege for all of us that he has spared his time to address us and give us the roadmap, what he's planned for this IFSC, which is even today the RBI governor in his policy speech has come out with certain enablers that what's are available now, it is available with domestic investors also. So that will provide a larger scale for offshore derivative market, which can be now invested by the domestic people also. So I think the scope of IFSC is increasing, and I would like to hear from him. Thank you, sir, for being here, and it's pleasure for all of us.
Thank you, Mehta sir. Thank you for joining here and encouraging us. As the dynamic nature of the business in IFSC is require a high degree of inter-regulatory coordination within the financial sector, IFSCA has been established in April 27, 2020 as a unified regulator. Today we have with us Shri Ajay Kumar from RBI, one of the regulators. Sir, a few words from your side.
I'm eager to listen to Srinivas ji more, because all of you have spoken well, and let us hear from him. Because as you rightly said, Mehta ji also said that RBI monetary policy has announced many things, but it's quite an uncertain time, and we all understand that. IFSC is taking a lot of steps to establish a sort of an international financial center where bank and other financial entities can deal with which they are not able to deal with within the onshore. So I hope it is going on the right path, and they are doing a lot of work. So some information I do have, whatever they are doing, and we are eager to listen from him. So over to you. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. Globally, international financial centers have assumed prominence in the financial services ecosystem primarily because they have contributed enormously to the growth of international financial transactions. These centers have played a pivotal role in accelerating the pace of financial globalization. The IFSC is the unified authority for the development and regulation of the financial products, financial services, and financial institutions. So presently, GIFT IFC is the maiden international financial services center in India and has been a path-breaking financial reform. Shri Injeti Srinivas has assumed the responsibility of the first chairperson of the newly established International Financial Services Center Authority, a unified financial regulator for the international financial centers in India in July 2020. Within 2 years of its establishment, IFSCA has attained considerable visibility as a gateway for global capital flows into and out of India. As the founding chairperson of this unified global financial regulator for international financial services centers in the country, Srinivas is credited with bringing out best-in-class regulations across the financial verticals, banking, insurance, capital markets, and funds. He is also credited with positioning IFSCA as an enabler, catalyst in creating necessary ecosystem for development of business in niche areas such as aircraft leasing, fintech, sustainability finance, reinsurance, bullion, connect with global investors, trade finance, etc. Overall, he has contributed in different fields of public services during his career as a civil servant plus close to 4 decades. Shri Injeti Srinivas belongs to 1983 batch of Indian Administrative Service, Orissa cadre. He is superannuated in May 2020 after serving with 37 years of various leadership roles in Government of India and Government of Orissa. He is a graduate in economics from Siram College of Commerce, University of Delhi, and did his master's in business administration from Searchlight Graduate Business School. As a director,
Business verticals, I didn't discuss anything, Anna.
No, yesterday everybody was.
No, CBU discussed, CIG discussed.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay.
And nothing beyond
So
that.
yesterday PBLG had sent.
Please go.
Can you send it? You said, now there is no.
As the Director Foreign Investment Promotion Board in the erstwhile Union Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, during 98 to 2003, he was closely associated with the liberalization of foreign direct investment policy and industrial policy reforms. As Chairperson, National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority from 2014-15, he is credited with bringing many critical medicines, including medical devices, under price control.
FCD presentation. Way forward, I will not put.
To make essential medicines more affordable. As Director General, Sports Authority of India and Union Secretary of Sports 2015 to 17, earlier as Joint Secretary Sports 2007 to 11, he is credited with having revitalized the National Sports Development Fund. Later, as Union Secretary to Government of India in the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, he played a key role in implementation of several major economic reforms, including Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, which has deeply impacted the borrowing culture in the country and helped the banks effectively tackle the problem of non-performing assets. He is also credited with implementation of several initiatives aimed at enhancing the ease of doing business, including MCA 21 version 3, decriminalization of various offences under Companies Act. He was also responsible for major initiatives on the corporate governance front, including strengthening the institution of independent directors. Sir, thank you for accepting our invitation and choosing a topic which is of much importance. Sir, over to you for the lecture. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Das, for those kind words. Distinguished panelists and all the participants who are present at this virtual session on the auspicious occasion of the 38th Sir Purshotamdas Thakurdas Memorial Lecture. A very good afternoon to all of you. I am indeed extremely delighted and also honored to deliver this lecture, and I want to thank the organizers for giving me this rare opportunity. Friends, today I will talk about a very important financial sector reform which Government of India has carried out to enable India, which today is the 5th largest economy in the world, with a nominal GDP of close to $3.5 trillion, and which is also, incidentally, the fastest growing large economy in the world, to plug into the global financial system in order to achieve its full economic potential. As we are all aware, as a country, we have strong macroeconomic fundamentals. We have a huge demographic dividend. We are also having the 3rd largest startup ecosystem in the world. We have very strong democratic credentials. There is rule of law. We have abundance of highly skilled manpower. And above all, we have a very well-developed and sophisticated financial system and unlimited investment opportunities. Now, in order to be able to make best use of all these advantages, it is necessary that we are able to attract the required capital to meet our investment needs. As per a study of GE and EY, it is estimated that we may require close to $10 trillion to achieve our net zero emission target by 2070 and also to achieve our sustainable development goals targets by 2030. Now, this means that apart from whatever domestic capital we can generate for investment purposes, we will also have to attract huge amount of foreign capital. In order to attract this huge amount of foreign capital, which may have to increase manyfold, maybe we need to treble or even quadruple the current flows, it is necessary that we seamlessly connect with the global financial system. I am very happy that the topic we have chosen for this lecture is very relevant in the context that this lecture is dedicated to the fond memory of Shri Purshotamdas Thakurdas, who was a great visionary and who played very important role in determining our policies in the banking and finance space. In fact, he was also one of the principal architects of the famous Bombay Plan, which was an economic plan presented by a group of industrialists and technocrats for India in 1944. Shri Purshotamdas had deep influence on the decision-making process in the financial sector throughout the 30s and 40s. And therefore, I have no doubt in my mind that if Sir Purshotamdas Thakurdas were there today, he would have been the first person to champion the cause of financial globalization. When we look back at the huge economic crisis we faced as a country in late 80s and early 90s, which was mainly triggered by the BOP crisis, the balance of payment crisis, we see that a slew of economic reforms were undertaken by the government of that day. This is commonly referred to as the economic liberalization era. And India was transforming from a, so to say, closed economy to an open economy. If you look at the entire thrust of the policy reforms which was taken at that point in time, the entire narrative was to open up the Indian economy to the outside world and to dismantle the controls within the country. So it's a two-way process. We are opening ourselves to the outside world and we are dismantling controls within the country, be it the industrial licensing, be it the permit Raj, be it the restrictions on import of technology, be it administered pricing. All these state-controlled instruments were given up or diluted. But one control was still kept, and that was exchange control. Even though there was some small dose of liberalization, but exchange control was very much still kept. Why was it so? It is because at that point in time, India was not still ready to take exposure of to the global vulnerabilities. So in the early 90s and mid 90s, while we dismantled everything else, including trade barriers, we still kept control on convertibility of the rupee. Notwithstanding the cautious approach our policymakers took at that point in time, the entire issue of full convertibility of rupee was very, very hotly debated. The Reserve Bank of India in 1990 or 1997, constituted a committee on capital account convertibility, which is popularly known as the Tarapur Committee. The Tarapur Committee at that point in time clearly said that the exchange controls are leading to inefficiency and they're impeding inflow of foreign capital into the country and therefore impeding growth. And this committee recommended a phased approach to full capital account convertibility. They said that provided your fiscal deficit and your inflation is in control, provided the banking sector reduces the non-performing assets, we must go whole hog. And in a 3-year period, we should have full capital account convertibility. But as you are aware, in 1997, we had the East Asian financial crisis. And because the East Asian financial crisis showed us that if you have unbridled inflow of foreign capital, it could create great risk for the economy. And we know how the East Asian countries suffered because of the financial crisis, because of the opening up their economies. So therefore, at that point in time, we, in a way, shelved this idea of moving towards full capital account convertibility. Nonetheless, in small doses, we continued liberalization in terms of the guidelines for external commercial borrowings and also liberalized remittance scheme. Almost a decade later, in 2006, RBI again constituted a committee, this time known as the Second Tarapur Committee. And the Second Tarapur Committee reiterated the same recommendation which was made by the First Tarapur Committee, that is full capital account convertibility. The only difference is they recommended a 5-year pathway. They said from 2007 to 2011, in this manner, you should move towards full capital account convertibility. They also made a recommendation that we should liberalize the external commercial borrowing. We should encourage the non-resident Indians to invest in the capital market. We should give tax benefit to NRIs who deposit, who have dollar deposits in India. So like this, several recommendations were also made by the Tarapur committee, that is the Second Tarapur Committee. But again, as Providence would have it, you know that in 2008, we had the global financial crisis, or what is known as the subprime crisis in the United States, which then engulfed the entire world. And because of this crisis, again, this entire desire to go for full capital account convertibility met with a speed breaker. But whether it is coincidence or whether it was deliberate, just around that time, the government set up another committee, an expert committee on making an international financial center in India. This is popularly known as the Purshotamdas Committee. And the Purshotamdas Committee in its report made it very clear that India is a big consumer of international financial services. They made an estimate that at that point in time, they said it was about 13 billion. And going by a certain estimation, they said it will cross 120 billion in 2025. Therefore, the Purshotamdas Committee recommended that India should forthwith go for full capital account convertibility. They gave an 18-month time frame. They also said that India should undertake strong financial sector reforms and India should have a unified regulator. Broadly, these were the 3 recommendations they made. they also said that India is very well positioned to develop a major international financial center because of several advantages which we have, which already I have enumerated, that you have a well-regulated, a sophisticated financial market, you have a very large hinterland, the domestic market is very big, the requirement for these services are there, you have skilled manpower. So because of all these advantages, they said that India should become a producer and an exporter of international financial services. This was a major recommendation which they made. And in a way, if you look at the entire concept of the GIFT IFSC, I would say that it is more or less on the lines of the Percy Mystery recommendations, except that we have adopted this full capital account convertibility following an enclave approach. So instead of introducing full capital account convertibility across the country, we decided that we should have full capital account convertibility in a specially designated financial zone. Now, if you look at this, it's not very different from what China does. China, like India, I mean, they are much larger economy than India, but China also has very, very stringent exchange controls, maybe much more than what India has. But China has 5 international financial centers, including Hong Kong, Shanghai, Shenzhen. And these financial centers act as gateway for global investors to transact with the mainland China. So when we look at the GIFT IFSC, we really have to root it in this overall context. Now, what is this GIFT? It is Gujarat International Finance Tech City, GIFT City. Incidentally, the Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, when he was Chief Minister of Gujarat, he conceptualized this entire idea of GIFT City. I think he was ahead of his times at that point in time because, having a fintech city in 2004 was a very futuristic sort of concept. So in 2004, it was felt that, we should establish an international financial center just as we have in Singapore or Dubai. But it was not before 2015 when, under the SEZ Act, GIFT City was notified as an IFSC. It was not until then that we had an international financial center. We did have that concept. We did have some infrastructure built up here. A smart city, a greenfield city was sort of being developed here in near Gandhinagar. But it became an international financial services center only in 2015. When they set up in 2015, initially the domestic regulators were given the responsibility of managing this international financial center, and all the 4 domestic financial regulators, RBI, in fact 3 of them, RBI, SEBI, and IRDAI, brought out some basic regulations to enable commencement of activity in the GIFT IFSC. Thereafter, in 2019 December, the Parliament passed the IFSCA Act. This was a turning point because for the first time in India, we created a unified regulator, a single regulator responsible for all the 4 verticals. We created an international financial jurisdiction, and IFSCA was conferred with the powers of all the 4 regulators, which they exercise under 16 central acts when it comes to development and regulation of financial services in an IFSC established in India. So whether it is RBI Act, whether it is FEMA, whether it is SEBI Act or SCRA Act or IRDAI Act or Government Securities Act, 16 acts. Under 16 acts, IFSCA has been empowered. So what we have to really see is that by virtue of this strong legal framework, this strong foundation, we are in a position to bring in best-in-class regulations because we are a late entrant. We have the advantage of looking at what has happened in all other jurisdictions, including domestic jurisdiction. And today we have close to 30 regulations, which are the IFSCA regulations, which, if you carefully see, are distinct from the domestic regulations. And these are aligned to the international regulations. So today you have a regulatory framework which is aligned with the international regulatory practices. You also have an international jurisdiction which has full capital account convertibility. In a way, if you can say FDI restrictions will not apply in IFSC zone, in a way, if you say capital account convertibility restrictions do not apply to the IFSC zone. And also, you have been given a very competitive tax regime, which is able to compete with whatever tax regime is obtaining in, say, Singapore or Hong Kong or Dubai for that matter. Of course, subject to the condition that no perverse arbitrage is created by virtue of the tax relaxations or concessions which are given in the IFSC zone. So now, how do we really sort of position the IFSC, the gift IFSC? So I think here we have to be very clear that when you look at the IMF, the International Monetary Fund's taxonomy for international financial centers, they classify these into three categories. One is a full service international financial center like New York, London, Tokyo. Then you have a regional financial center like, say, Singapore or Hong Kong. And then you have a offshore financial center, which is essentially tax driven, tax efficiency driven, a tax haven in a way, say like Dubai, Cayman Island, Mauritius. Where do we belong? So IMF says there are 4 basic characteristics for a center to become an international financial center. What are these 4 characteristics? One is that you have a well-developed financial system with advanced payment system. Now we have that. We have a well-developed financial system with advanced payment system. 2, you need to have market liquidity with diverse sources and uses of funds. Now, that also is being developed because you have exchanges, you have the funds regime, you have insurance, you have banking. So these diverse sources and diverse uses will gradually get the critical mass. Then they say something very important. You need a large domestic market. You need to have the hinterland advantage. And the 4th is you need a strong legal system and a strong regulatory system. So my submission is that we meet all these 4 basic requirements, and therefore we have the potential to become a full service international financial services center. I would not say that we have already become a full service international financial service center. It takes time for you to get global visibility, global acceptability, but we are very much moving in that direction. Now, therefore, when you make a comparison, I think you will really have to compare IFSC with, say, a Hong Kong and not with a Dubai or with a Singapore, because neither Dubai nor Singapore have a large domestic economy. They have basically become exporters of financial service. They don't consume financial services. We have to first consume the financial services which we are procuring from outside. And then once we get the critical mass, we will also export financial services. Let me now, give you one very important point. And that is, when you read the IFSCA Act, the statement of objects and reasons of the IFSCA Act says that the primary purpose of this legislation is to bring back financial transactions and financial services carried out offshore, in offshore financial centers by Indian entities and subsidiaries of Indian entities to India by offering world-class business and regulatory environment. So what I am saying today is, whatever I will now try to narrate is basically, this is our mantra. This is our Gita. Bring back financial transaction. Now, financial transaction does not have much value addition. Financial service has value addition. So both financial transactions and financial services, our intention should be, why should we export our capital markets? Why should we export our money markets? Why can't we have everything here in this small sort of zone which we have created, where we have conditions which are conducive and which are comparable with the best of financial jurisdiction? If tomorrow India has to become bigger and bigger, we have to have our own financial center. Either the whole of India becomes fully convertible, and till such time that the whole of India becomes fully convertible, you have the gift IFSC, which is both, a financial laboratory for the RBI maybe, and it's a great opportunity for India, Indian companies and Indian residents to make full use of. Now, what are the types, when we say international financial services, what are the types of financial services? That's an obvious question. The most important thing is to raise capital. Now, whether you raise capital by listing securities, by listing equity or debt, or you raise through platforms for trade financing, or any other way, crowdfunding, whatever way you raise capital, that is the first thing. And it includes, all arrangements for risk management. That means whatever exposure the borrower has in terms of currency risk or interest risk or political risk or operational risk or market risk, how that can be also kept within the tolerable limits. So this is one thing which is very important. And we have 2 international exchanges. We have international depository, we have clearing corporation, everything is there. It has to be used. And that is one very important point I would like to say. Here, I'm happy to say that the banking sector, which I consider is the backbone of the financial sector, because there is no other more versatile entity than the bank. Bank has a whole bouquet of services. And today I'm happy to say that we have 23 banks and another 7 banks are in the pipeline. Very shortly, we'll have 30 banks. Out of 30 banks, 15 will be foreign banks. 15 will be Indian banks. That means we are becoming international. Today, we have banks from the US, we have banks from UK, we have banks from France, we have banks from Germany, that means Europe, we have banks from Japan. So it is a well represented, and the combined asset size, the balance sheet size is about 37 to 38 billion. The NDF also is picking up. Just now, our friends were mentioning about NDF and about the governor's monetary policy speech. So the NDF also is picking up. According to one estimate, the daily average of NDF is 46 billion. But today, of course, we are nowhere there. Today, from nowhere, it is now becoming about 2 to 3 billion daily average in gift. So maybe 5% something. My aim is at least 25% should be. In fact, RBI will have a line of sight if it is in gift. If it is in London or if it is in Singapore, RBI cannot have a line of sight. So it is important that when we have NDF, all the NDF should gradually concentrate in the GIFT IFSC so that we have better control, we understand what's really happening in this NDF. Similarly, when we come to the funds, today funds have become very important in terms of intermediating, between the investors and between the investees. And from scratch, we now have a fund framework, very comprehensive modern framework, and more than 50 funds have come over the last 6 to 8 months. And the committed size is 15 billion. And already 2 to 3 billion they have drawn down and they have invested. So this is another very major area where you are now having angel funds, you are having venture capital funds, you are having private equity funds. There is a major sovereign wealth fund also, which is coming maybe in a month or two. You will have a very major sovereign wealth fund is also being set up here. You may have family offices, investment advisories, portfolio management services, all this entire fund area, because this is a very important area. This is also taking some sort of roots in the IFSC. When it comes to insurance and reinsurance, I'm happy that now some traction I am able to see, that hitherto a considerable amount of reinsurance premium was going away to cross-border reinsurers. They were capturing this without any commercial presence. Now, in coordination with IRDAI, we are having a regulatory framework where these cross-border reinsurance will find it more advantageous to set up commercial presence in the GIFT IFSC. So they'll have to be here to be able to get that business in full. And therefore, whatever reinsurance business is being retained within India, of course, that is not being touched. But about 3 billion annually reinsurance premium is going out of India. How can we sort of capture that reinsurance business? And how can we also provide direct insurance, whether it's health insurance or property insurance or other insurance, to Indian diaspora? We believe that there are 15 million, size Indian diaspora with 3 trillion net worth, combined net worth. How do we take full advantage of that? China today is what it is because of non-resident Chinese. So India has not yet got that benefit, that full benefit. I personally feel, this is my personal view, that we should have a much more liberal framework for NRIs to invest in Indian capital market. And there's no meaning in capping the NRI investment to 50%, and an American group of people can have 100% ownership, but Indian origin American can only go up to 50%. This is something which I feel we really have to look at it, and we'll have to see that the NRIs are most welcomed, and whatever apprehensions we may have with respect to any concerns, those will have to be appropriately dealt with under those legislations. If there are fears of round tripping or this is not the way that you blanket sort of restriction on all NRIs that in a FPI you can't cross 50% of the ownership. One very major initiative which has been taken is the bullion exchange. India is the second largest consumer of gold. We import about 1,000 tons every year. It is the second largest import item, and RBI and everybody is generally concerned because of the current account deficit, because 30-40 billion, of course there are no restrictions. There are no restrictions on gold import in that sense. But this is a very important item. So Prime Minister, when he inaugurated the bullion exchange, said that as such a large economy which is consuming 1/4 of the global production and which is having 25,000 tons of above ground gold, we should be a prize giver or a prize influencer and not a passive price taker in gold. It is this philosophy that the International Bullion Exchange has been set up, and I'm very happy that now it has commenced its operations, and it is moving in a direction that I am very confident that in the coming 3 months, we'll become a very major player and a large part of the gold import will take place from the IIBX. And the advantages we get is we can be sure about the sourcing integrity, we can be sure about the quality assurance, we can be sure about the standardization. And we'll also be, making it the market more organized. Tomorrow, RBI has already allowed hedging. This is the only international center where RBI has allowed hedging for the people who have gold exposure. And therefore, you can also have ETFs and other things. So financialization of gold is another area where the IFSC can play a very important role. I think many of these things I am saying, it is for the banks to really take cognizance of IFSC and engage at the board level to see in what manner they can make best use of this, not only improve their own bottom line, but contribute in nation building by building the IFSC, by having our own international financial center, which is bigger than a Dubai center or a Singapore center. I would like to now broadly conclude. You see, one of the very important requirements for an IFSC is that entire ecosystem will have to be there. Only we can't have financial institutions. We need to have the support system. And therefore, we have a strong ancillary framework by which auditors, legal advisory services, custodial services, other, like a KPO type of services where they're aiding and assisting financial institutions. This entire ecosystem also is developed. And most of the big names already have presence in the IFSC. And if we need to really create jobs, it's important that we promote this as a center for export of financial services. And I'm happy to say that we have taken the decision that we will do whatever it takes to make GIFT IFSC the accounting and finance hub for the world. Maharashtra and Gujarat have 1/3 of chartered accountants. This is an area where there is no dearth of finance literacy. So financial literacy. So we are now moving very, very strongly in making this. And to ensure that there is availability of high-skilled manpower, government decided that university education will also be defined as a financial services so that we can regulate it. And they are free from domestic regulations. So today, within a year of this announcement, the first foreign university, Deakin University, which is a QS ranking university, has been approved already. Another university application is there, and almost 8 universities are in the pipeline. Now, Indians, 850,000 Indians every year go out. We spend $8 billion on this foreign education. Even if we can become a home for 25,000 students, that is my target. GIFT is developing a education hub within IFSC. If 25,000 students can come with very specialized education in cyber security, data analytics, data science, fintech, finance, you can just imagine how attractive it will become, because cost-wise, we are 1/5 of Singapore. So nobody can actually stop us. The moment is for us to, fully take advantage of. And I'm sure banks, which are the most versatile financial entity. And today, it's really heartening that while banking system in the world is precarious, I am told Indian banking system is very strong. It's a matter of great satisfaction, because I remember in 2017, when I was in the corporate affairs, the 13% NPA and all those problems and the dirty dozen and whatever, we were looking at that. But today, I'm so happy that our banks have been able to clean up that NPA, provide for those non-performing assets, and they are now becoming strong, and they have to become global. You have to become global. So my point is, I rest my case. You see, because I can go on and on, but then I think patience of the participants will be tested. So I don't think I can go on and on and on. But two things I will say. One is that, aircraft leasing. I just want to put this as a case in front of all of you, bankers. We are having 700 aircrafts in this country. The projection is that we'll have 1,200 aircrafts in another 4 years. That means 500 aircrafts will come. This is a huge business opportunity. All these come as operating leases. All these aircrafts are coming from Ireland. Ireland is benefiting from our rapidly growing aviation sector. Because the lessor is in Ireland, the MRO also is in Europe. If the lessor can be in GIFT, the MRO will be in India. Almost 5 billion lease rental is going away every year from our country to Ireland. Why can't we keep that? Why can't we keep that? So I think, and like this, there are numerous opportunities. Now we have also enabled ship leasing. So whether it is aircraft leasing, whether it is ship leasing, our Commerce Minister said that we have a target of 2 trillion by 2030. Now, if you have 2 trillion target, somebody will have to carry your goods. Indian ships are not carrying, cargo, long distance cargo. They're only doing coastal shipping. So there is a huge potential for Indian shipping to do, carry cargo from one continent to other. Again, this is a huge opportunity. Indians are managing this in Hong Kong. Indians are managing this in Singapore. Indians are managing this in Dubai. Why can't the Indians manage this in IFSC? So, friends, I'm very happy. Of course, I had so many other things like sustainable finance, this, that, but that will I'll cross the time limit. But again, this has been an extraordinary opportunity to share with you the GIFT IFSC story, and also to share with you, our dream to make this a leading financial center in the world. I'm very confident that with all our strong fundamentals and with the cooperation of all participants, the Indian banks, the foreign institutions, most importantly, the government, our domestic regulators, we can definitely make GIFT IFSC the second engine for India's growth. That is our motto. We want to make this the second engine. Of course, the domestic engine is a very big engine, but the second engine, can we contribute 10% to this growth? That is the idea. With these words, I thank the organizers for having given me this opportunity. And I also thank all the participants and the panelists for listening to me patiently. Thank you.
This was truly an informative session. We hope IFSCs continue to play an integral role in India's globalization. Now we will have a brief question and answer round. I request the attendees that in case they have any question, they may raise their hand in the application window. Yes, we have Mr. Deepak Kumar. Hello, Dr. Deepak Kumar. Can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. You may ask your question.
Yeah, sir, my question is, sir, why we cannot go the full capital account convertibility now, sir? Why we are focusing on only IFSC now? Means
I think my friend from RBI is better qualified, but my own understanding is that today the amount of volatility all of us are facing because of so many unpredictabilities are there. The global, even the geopolitical situation is causing a lot of uncertainties. Supply chain disruptions have been there. The inflation is there. US Fed hikes also is creating a lot of uncertainty. So in this sort of situation, exposing ourselves to full convertibility may pose a lot of risk to our own rupee. This is my understanding that what you say is correct. We already have a very liberalized sort of approach. We are rapidly liberalizing, but you must understand, when we say full convertibility, it means I have complete freedom as an Indian citizen to convert my local financial assets to foreign financial assets and vice versa. Think over it. Are we in that position?
Sir, sorry, sir. Another question, sir. How you are managing in IFSC these things are like there also we are converting these foreign assets to domestic assets and domestic assets to foreign assets. So once it is being done through the IFSC, how we are managing it means some control is there. That control can be put by the RBI also for the full account convertibility also, sir.
Please understand. This is to put it conceptually, it's like a financial laboratory. Now, let us say Punjab National Bank is having presence in IFSC. The balance sheet of Punjab National Bank is 1 billion. All right. But the balance sheet of Punjab National Bank in the domestic area could be, could be, I don't know how many lakh crores, whatever lakh crores. I mean, we had Mr. Goel, but now, so this will be able to do business within this limited amount which is at its disposal. And there is ring fencing. That means even if there is a problem with the Punjab National Bank International Banking Unit in GIFT IFSC, it cannot spill over to the domestic. So whatever is being done within an envelope. There is an envelope. After all, what money can come from India, from domestic area to IFSC under LRS, there is some envelope. It is not that it's unlimited. Similarly, what can come under ODI and for what purpose it can come, there is a limitation. If foreign capital comes in, what foreign capital can enter into the domestic area? If there are FDI restrictions, those will apply. If there are SEBI restrictions, those will apply. Those macroeconomic concerns are being addressed in the domestic area. If you dismantle the whole thing, those controls are dismantled. And there is nothing then. There is no cap. Government securities may be held by foreigners totally. So that is, today you have a cap. Now, whether that cap should be 6% or 10% or 18%, that's a debatable issue. So my understanding is, of course, subject to correction by my friend from RBI, that it is a gradual process. And RBI is continuously liberalizing. There is no question mark on that. They have never gone back. They're only moving forward. How quickly they want to move forward, where they want to put some checks and balances. I think prudence demands that we don't just jump into it and we take a phased approach. And IFSC can be a laboratory. It can give us some lessons. And then maybe in coming 10 years, you may feel that you are now a strong economy. You can withstand anything. And rupee itself is largely internationalized because RBI is internationalizing rupee also. Our trade accounts now with Malaysia, with 15 countries, it's the rupee trade. We are not going for dollar. So they are doing all this. They're doing all this. But my friend, don't jump into it. Otherwise, you may face what your East Asian countries faced, 20 years back. So I think it's a very prudent policy of the Reserve Bank of India and the government of India.
Okay, sir. Thank you. We'll take another question now. Yes, Mr. Asim Majumdar, you may ask your question.
Yes. Good afternoon, all. Actually, I have two questions. So my first question is why NPA rate is higher of public bank comparing with the private bank? What is the actual reason? And also the public bank NPA is written off, and which is the loss of the public money.
No.
So what is the government actually doing?
Let me try to put, I have very esteemed banking colleagues, but since I had some exposure, let me tell you.
Yes, please, yes.
You see, basically you must understand, it's not public bank or private bank. Whoever did more corporate lending exposed themselves to more risk. Whoever did very safe lending, retail lending, house loan, this loan, I will never default my house loan, because they will take away my house. That can never happen. So we are very good repayment masters. But in corporate lending, maximum exposure has been of public sector. They have been the beast of burden. Public sector has been the beast of burden. They have been funding the investment in the country. And private banks, those private banks which have also done a lot of exposure to corporate lending have faced the same position which public banks have faced. So it is a misconception that public banks are inefficient and in fact, a lot of financial inclusion which you're seeing today, I have no hesitation in saying that public banks have played the main role in this financial inclusiveness and in building up this MSME sector, because private banks will not look at that chota fellow. It is the public banks, public sector banks which have taken the burden. Government wants inclusiveness, government wants, micro industries to grow. Public banks have come up with loans for street vendors and for all this. So I would say that you will have to take it in an overall sense. For example, when Air India used to be there, whenever evacuation you have to do, whenever Northeast you have to go, only Air India will run. So I'm not justifying inefficiencies, but then if it is taking that burden, there will be some impact on the bottom line also. So that is one. Second issue you are saying is that NPA, I think today, after the insolvency bankruptcy code has come, and after the stringent norms regarding NPA mitigation brought out by RBI from time to time, banks are taking very timely action, and lakhs and lakhs of crores have been recovered. So individual cases will be difficult to discuss, but I think there is a good improvement, because if you look at the gross NPA and net NPA figures, there is a decline now in NPA.
Okay, thank you, sir. My second question is there any planning to give the opportunity to the equity shareholder to direct investing in the foreign security market?
Correct. No. So this is already there, my friend. Actually, I'm happy you asked this question. We already, because we wanted to democratize normal Indian citizens, common Indian citizens to hold foreign securities. One of the exchanges here, which is the NSE IFSC, has actually 50 American stock. They have been fractionalized, and those depository receipts are available in dollars. That means one Google share is broken down into 100 Google shares, and therefore at a very affordable rate, you are able to get this. And I think Zerodha and Grow, such like brokers also are now onboarding this. So very soon, Indian resident can, within the limits, have this foreign securities which are listed as depository receipts in India, that means in GIFT IFSC, and traded in India, that is GIFT IFSC. So this opportunity is very much there even now, but it is to be popularized. I think the exchange and all should market these products in a better way so that all of you can look at these opportunities.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, sir. We'll take another question now. This is from Mr. Hitesh Singh. Mr. Hitesh Singh?
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You may ask your question now.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Sir, my question is, you briefly talked about the INR route also that India has recently opened up. So I want to know, how do you view that? Because the financial services that you talked about, that the Indians to have from India IFSC only. So the funds requirement which we were earlier raising it from our outside India, so there won't be the requirement that. So my question is this: how do you view this? And second question in line with this: how is it going to benefit the Indians trading in INR along with their counterparts in the foreign countries?
No.
So this is my question.
One thing is very clear. As part of internationalization of rupee, I mean, this is one way of looking at internationalization of rupee. I mean, one way could be that it is convertible. That is one way. The other way is that you're dispensing with the requirement of a hard currency like dollar. So if India and Malaysia agree that we'll do our trade and settle it in rupee, and they can have Wastro account, and whatever payments are there, they keep it in that, and then they can use that rupee to invoicing is done in rupees. So whatever exports India is doing, they'll pay in rupee. That means they don't have any currency risk. The exchange risk is not there. So it is good for both. But the problem will be when there is no balance between the two countries. Suppose we are exporting only 10% and they are exporting 90%, then it becomes imbalanced, because what will they do with billions and billions of dollars worth of INR sitting in India? They may have some issues, because we also will have issues, because we can't expose the entire security markets and everything to unlimited investments. So this will have to be seen as one of the routes. One of the routes. It's not at the cost of another route. This is only possible when both sides are willing and both sides are seeing advantage in doing rupee trade. If both sides are not seeing advantage, it doesn't work. Though we may enable it, doesn't work.
Right, sir. Right. And sir, if I may ask one more question, though I'm from Union Bank of India, so I want to ask whether Union Bank is present in those 23 list or the 7 that you talked about, sir, which are the banks which are present in IFSC, sir.
I think
whether Union Bank is having presence in the gift IFSC.
Union Bank, no, I almost remember all the names, but I think Union Bank is yet to come. This is
okay.
Because I keep meeting these people. I don't remember, because today you have State Bank, which is having a balance sheet of 8.7 billion. You have Punjab National Bank, which has come recently but built a good balance sheet. Bank of Baroda is very strong here. Canara Bank is almost coming. Indian Bank is there. But I am somehow feeling Union Bank, I have never interacted. So my test of 23 banks is not in front of me. But I somehow feel Union Bank perhaps is perhaps coming.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll take the last question. Mr. Vikas Jain, you may ask your question. Mr. Vikas Jain. Mr. Vikas Jain, can you hear us?
I think you're on mute. You may unmute yourself.
We'll take up another question. Mr. Wasim Sheikh. Mr. Wasim Sheikh?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so my question is from a fund ecosystem perspective. So Mr. Srinivas, you spoke about the fund ecosystem which we are trying to build in. So do you feel the traction is happening, the funds are coming to GIFT IFSC, then the places like Mauritius or Cayman Island, where they find more relaxed or more suitable from a legal or from a compliance perspective? Or do you feel any more improvement or relaxation has to be done in the regulation?
There is a huge traction. In fact, that so-called relaxed regime is creating problem for them, because those funds are viewed with suspicion. If you are in a regime which is, a very robust regime and has a high integrity, you are better placed. So there are several reasons why the funds are now, some of them are re-domiciling, and all new funds by Indian managers are by and large coming here. That is why in 6 months, you have more than 50 funds and 15 billion, and large funds, have come for infrastructure and other things. So that's one. Second is the tax certainty. When you are in an offshore center where you can't show substance, you can't get the tax benefits automatically. Taxman doesn't give you those benefits. Whereas here, the tax benefits are hard-coded. Third is that the cost, compared to Mauritius may be different, but compared to Singapore is just 25%. So all these, and then we have a very clear substance rule. You can't have a post box type of approach you may have here. I don't want to name any other jurisdiction which has it, but I think we have a very modern, state-of-the-art regulatory framework. We recognize an FME, that is a fund management entity. We allow different vehicles. We are now even moving to introduce variable capital company. The tax competitive tax regime is there, where all benefits you get from DTA is also available here, and you're closer to your asset. You're investing in an asset, you're closer to that asset. So there are innumerable reasons. So I am confident that it has just started, and now it is irreversible. any serious entity who has no round-tripping intentions. We don't want round-trippers to come here. So anyway, we don't want them to come here. So we are not open to those types of investments. Others are most welcome.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I think, Kritika,
Yes, sir.
yeah. So, sir, wonderful deliberation on the part. Yeah. So, you still have questions?
No, sir, we'll wrap up the question and answer
Yes,
session.
sir. In case, sir, Mr. Ajay Kumar or say Harideesh Kumar, sir, or Goel, sir, or Sunil, sir, Mehta, sir, anything you want to share, sir? In case.
I think most of the things have already been covered, and as very rightly said by Injeti Srinivas, that this is a topic which needs a constant deliberations, and not only deliberations, basically practically experiencing these things. So I have the assess will learn more things from him.
So I'll just take 2 minutes just to sum up the excellent lecture given by Mr. Srinivas. Frankly speaking, sir, we are indeed fortunate to have you to deliver this 38th memorial lecture. In fact, it had many learning points. In fact, I was very fortunate to be part of this lecture. In fact, the chairperson IFSCA started his lecture by saying that India has to triple or even quadruple its foreign capital flows to be able to reach its full global potential. He then spoke about the 2 Tarapur committee reports, which laid the roadmap for full capital account convertibility, and through which GIFT City is into capital account convertibility at a particular restricted the GIFT City. In fact, he rightly said that the GIFT's IFSC has been a path-breaking financial reform, which has been underpinning India's increasingly liberal outlook towards capital account convertibility. In fact, I was fortunate to read his speech also, and wherein IFSC has been given the twin mandate of being not only a developmental institution, but also a regulation. Therefore, the role played by IFSC and the priority areas were then explained by Mr. Srinivas. Concluding his speech, he then said that India's maiden IFSC will play a major role in India's growth story by channelizing global capital flows into the country to bridge the investment gap and to make India a major exporter of international financial services in times to come. So we really thank you for an enlightening speech. And we would also like to thank Mr. Goel, MD and CEO of Punjab National Bank and the Vice President of IIBF, Mr. Sunil Mehta, the Chief Executive of Indian Bank Association, Mr. Ajay Kumar, the Executive Director of RBI and a Governing Council member, Mr. Harideesh Kumar, Director of IBPS and a Governing Council member, and all the participants who have spared their valuable time. And in fact, all of you will agree that this was really a wonderful session for us to learn real insights into how the IFSC is functioning and the way forward for it to come. I'm sure under the leadership of Mr. Srinivas, many more initiatives will be taken and India will truly stand to benefit in the years to come. So we thank you once again, sir, for this wonderful lecture, and thank you once and all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. So we'll now be closing the 38th Sir Purshotamdas Thakurdas Memorial Lecture, which was delivered wonderfully by Mr. Injeti Srinivas, Chairperson IFSCA. Thank you and namaskar.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all.